So here's something else I constantly do with these AI coding agents as well. And it plays into the talk I'm having next week about beyond the red-green loop. And so essentially, I've run into this problem multiple times now with Dependabot, and I'm still not sure how exactly it happens, but that is kind of irrelevant. But basically, there's a mismatch between the React and the React DOM version inside the project. And as a result, the CI jobs just start failing on completely unrelated stuff. And so I'm kind of fed up with that happening. So I just told the coding agent, like, this keeps happening. Is there a way you can avoid it going forward by adding deterministic tooling or linting? And there is. And the cool thing is, oftentimes when you do this, you learn about other tools or features of your existing tools you had no idea about. And this is one of those cases. So this is nothing new, but we're going to pin React and React DOM. So no caret ranges, just exactly that. But then there's this thing called groups in your Dependabot config. And if we jump into that, over here, there's a lot more you can do with it that I'm definitely going to do. Let me just go to the top here and let me zoom in a little bit. So grouping related dependencies together. So you can use groups to consolidate updates for multiple dependencies into a single pull request. So for example, you can have Dependabot open a single pull request for all your minor updates. So no more 4 different pull requests where each just bumps from, like, let's say, for example, 1.2.3 to 1.2.4. So you can actually group all of those together. So that's one of the things you can do. You can also group like production dependency types and development dependency types. You can exclude things and all that kind of stuff. Really, really interesting. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm creating a group which is called React Runtime, and it matches the patterns React and React DOM. So therefore, those two will always be in the same pull request. So you won't have this race where maybe React lands with 19.2.8, but then React DOM is still on 19.2.7 or something like that. And then the other thing that we're going to add here, because what was happening is the Playwright E2E suite would run and run and run for like 20 minutes or something, because what was happening actually is each of the tests would time out. So after 25 minutes, it would still not be finished. And then eventually the whole thing would fail. And so that is super annoying and also wasteful in terms of resources. So basically what's happening here, add a fast CI invariant check that fails unless the manifest versions are exact and identical, the installed React DOM versions are identical, and React DOM's React peer requirements are satisfied. So this could run immediately after pm install frozen log file, before linting, builds, or playwright. But a frozen log file alone cannot catch this. So I'd also prevent another 24-minute E2E stall by setting Playwright CI max failures to 1 and adding a short global timeout and putting the timeout minutes limit on the GitHub job. And then also favor this over adding another linting dependency. Just create a little node script. And when it fails, it gives you this useful information, because the way the Playwright stuff failed is it just gives you a whole bunch of timeouts and you don't know why. Now, when it fails, it'll actually tell you React dependencies mismatch React Data and React DOM. So you can exactly see why this is failing and be like, but hopefully when I have this in place, it won't happen again. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Sol to actually do this. So please go ahead and implement on a new feature branch. Please orchestrate this to a sub-agent using the most appropriate model based on task complexity. For example, Luna might be more than good enough. There's also a way to keep your token usage and your costs down, is by explicitly telling the model, the orchestrator, so Sol in this case, to basically push the work down to a smaller model. Because sometimes it won't, it'll might push it down to Terra, but for some reason it won't push it to Luna unless you kind of remind it that Luna exists, I guess. Please review the work from the sub-agent, and when satisfied, go ahead, fix that, satisfied, please go ahead, if I can spell, and open a PR for review. And there it's off to the races. And so now it's going to go ahead and switch to a feature branch because, I mean, as you might be able to see, I'm currently on main. So it'll do that, and then it's going to do the implementation, and then it's going to open the PR. And then I have CodeRabbit there that's going to also have a look over this PR. And if there's anything that it finds that could improve this, then it'll make those suggestions. I will point Codex at that PR and say, please have a look at the review feedback, or I would just copy it from there. But most of the time I just point it there. Sometimes, I don't know. I don't know which is more efficient, to be honest. I still need to experiment with that. But yeah, so another really, really useful way that you can harden your basically project infrastructure. You can see there it started and it gave it to Luna. And so you can see Luna's heading off there, starting to do the implementation. Feature branch is ready. Luna subagents implementing the guardrails without committing or pushing. So yeah, and we can see there that it did indeed branch and use an appropriate branch strategy. And that's because there is some guidance about branch strategy, but to be honest, you don't really need to give it guidance. Um, Sometimes I do need to tell it to create a feature branch, but naming wise, it does a good job by itself. And yeah, so it's gonna go ahead and do that. It'll get the PR. I'll see if CodeRabbit has any feedback. If it does, I'll point it back, address those, and then get it merged. And so in this one fail swoop, I don't know what the right way is to say that. I think so. I'm going to have a hardened CI now, avoid these annoying failures where the two React dependencies gets out of sync. And I learned something new about Dependabot, and I can make my CI better now by grouping those minor versions, for example, and also production versus development, because maybe I'm a little bit more gung-ho with development than production. Not really, but maybe one day I feel like it. So yeah, another cool way to use your coding agents. What other ways are you using coding agents to harden and strengthen and solidify your development environment and the code and the CI and everything that you ship? Let me know in the comments. Bye.